I do a lot of drawing where I need human figures representing actions or doing things, but I do not have time to detail the features of these human figures, and as an industrial designer, I do not have the correct knowledge to draw anatomically correct figures either. So what I like to do is to draw human figures as simply as possible, almost like icons where you can still recognize some human features, but these have no real detail to them. So in this video, I want to talk about simplified heads and how I draw them. There's usually two really good approaches. One, you could do squares, and squares in this case are really just that, squares. You can place an X or a cross there, and then you see which ways it's looking, which way your character is looking, and that really helps you also see if you rotate the neck or rotate your character a little bit, it will look in that way. So this square already has like an inbuilt direction to look at. I like to reference Mr. Tom Fox Draws on Instagram. You can see his faces that were heads that are drawn out, but he uses the squares as a basic, and here as well you can really see nicely that these figures are looking into different directions. I like to keep it a little bit even simpler, well, if you can call it simpler. I like to use cylinders, but I cheat even with the cylinder a little bit. It's not a full cylinder, because if we just take a body, I just do something like this, and then we have the arms doing their thing as well. And you can see the back of the neck is the back of the head together with the neck is straight, and here we have this nice rounded shape. Technically, I don't even have a neck. You could look at this in two different ways. Let me just draw quickly a chest area, body with arms, and let me duplicate this. So I have the necklace version that I just showed you before, this guy here, and then you can also sort of draw on with the neck, just add a little neck there, and then just close it like that. Both work. Here in this case you have the chin, which shows you which direction your character is looking at. Here in this case you have this sort of bent line in the front or curvy line, to be more precise, that shows you which direction your character is looking at. The flat area signifies which area the back of the head is. So if you would try to draw a head a bit more normally, you have sort of this flat area there, and that's what I'm playing on a little bit more there. But it really helps to show you if your character is looking that way or if your character is looking that way. So you can easily see which way they're looking. It's sort of an built-in thing. If you want to add a little bit more detail, you could play on the cylinder. So we have this thing. If you want to make sure that we're looking down on the character, you can just make sure to emphasize the cylinder a little bit more on the top, basically giving it a flat head. And here you can see we're sort of looking a little bit up on him because it's stronger there. So let me just give you some more examples. If I draw a cylinder here, and actually I am going to copy this, put it over here, and we're doing once the outside of the cylinder, and then here with the neck, and then here we're doing this side of the cylinder, and here with the neck. And now it's sort of quite clear that here we are looking down on the character, meanwhile here we are looking up on the character, because we don't see this back side of the cylinder, but here we see the front and almost where the neck is, and here we see the top of the head and we don't see the chin area. This also works just without the necky person. Let me copy these sort of body parts, put them there, and if we, let me erase this. Okay, so if we draw the head, we can draw it twice like that. Let me make it a bit straighter, and you just add the cylinder there and there. We can do the same thing. So once we're gonna be looking down on it, and once we're gonna be looking up on it. So of course you would have to play a little bit with the body as well to adjust it, and here the body would be looking like this. but it works. And as I said, I use these sort of figures, like I use even less detail than here. When I'm drawing something, I am just drawing sort of like almost star people that are just holding something or pointing at something if necessary. They can be happy, excited for something. So in my work, I really just need these people to showcase a message that I want to communicate with my drawing. Usually for my clients, I want to keep it gender free and as unisex as possible, which works pretty well with these figures. But if you want to make sure that you also have a couple of lady figures in there, I keep it relatively simple. So just to show you, I will take the same body for the character, put it there, and instead of adding the head that I showed you, so this sort of head, what I'm gonna do is just add a sort of triangular hairdo and a chin that is a bit more pointy. And then that is sort of a lady. You can also play a little bit around with the whole idea and have different hairdos. So I will still keep the pointy chin and then add a cool little afro to our lady. So that is also something you can do. Of course, you can move on from here. In this case, I drew the head a little bit too big. Don't be afraid to fix these sort of things if you notice them, because it will help a bit. One thing you have to do with ladies, we draw ladies with necks. If you look at fashion drawings, the models always have, the drawings there at least, always have these super long necks. And in general, just females are represented with nice long necks. So I think that will help you convey that your little person is a lady. But this also brings more detail work with it. So try to keep it as simple as possible if it's just about communication. And once again, this is just my approach to simplifying heads. They are not necessarily correct, but they do the job for me and I like them. There are probably plenty of people out there who don't like these heads, and some would even discourage you from using them, which is fine. You should find the type of simplification that works best for you. I took these little figures from my day-to-day work, and I also like using them in my more concept sci-fi stuff as well, because my focus is on mechanical design, plus I have a somewhat cartoony style in general, so sprinkling cartoony characters in a technically detailed mech drawing gives me an interesting balance that I quite enjoy. But with that, we have come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something from it. Feel free to leave your questions and comments, because I always enjoy reading them. If you really like this stuff and want to support me, check the description down below for the ways you can do that. But as always, the most important thing is that you folks have a great time, and see you in the next video. Bye bye!